I never thought much about being taken care of. Growing up, you learn pretty quickly that asking for help makes you weak, that needing someone is a liability. My dad used to say, "Figure it out yourself," whenever I came to him with a problem. My mom was always too busy managing her own chaos. So I figured it out. I became the person who had their life together, the friend everyone called when they needed something, the guy who could handle anything thrown at him. I was 28 years old, and I'd been taking care of myself for so long that I'd forgotten there was any other way to live. Then I met Cassian. It was a Thursday evening in late September, one of those perfect early autumn nights, when the air smells like wood smoke and possibility. I'd been working overtime all week, pulling 12-hour days trying to close a project before the deadline. My apartment was a disaster. I hadn't done laundry in 2 weeks. I was surviving on coffee and whatever I could grab from the corner deli. That night, I finally left the office at a reasonable hour and decided to treat myself to dinner at this small Italian place in my neighborhood, the kind with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. I walked in exhausted, my shirt wrinkled, my tie loosened, probably looking like exactly what I was, which was someone running on fumes. The hostess sat me at a small table near the window. I ordered a glass of red wine and stared blankly at the menu, too tired to actually process the words. That's when I heard his voice. "The carbonara here is incredible if you're trying to decide." I looked up. The guy at the table next to mine was watching me with this gentle smile. He had dark curly hair that fell just past his ears, warm brown eyes, and this presence about him that was simultaneously calm and electric. He was wearing a simple gray sweater that looked soft enough to live in. "Yeah?" I managed, my brain struggling to switch from work mode to human conversation mode. "Yeah, also the ossobuco if you're really hungry. Fair warning though, it's enough food for 2 people. He had this way of talking that felt like you'd known him for years, comfortable and easy. "I might be that hungry," I said, surprising myself by continuing the conversation. Usually I kept to myself in public, especially when I was this drained. "Long week." "I can see that." His smile widened. "You've got that look, like you've been staring at spreadsheets for days." "Is it that obvious?" "You're still wearing your office badge." He pointed to my chest. I looked down. Sure enough, my security badge was still clipped to my belt. I laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in days. "Oh my God, I wore this on the subway. I walked 3 blocks like this." "At least nobody mugged you. They probably figured you had nothing worth stealing if you're that tired." I should have been embarrassed, but instead, I felt this strange sense of relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for days, and finally someone had given me permission to exhale. We kept talking while we waited for our food. His name was Cassian, which I'd never heard before, and immediately loved. He was a freelance graphic designer who worked from home, which he said was either the best or worst decision he'd ever made depending on the day. He asked about my work and actually listened when I answered, not just waiting for his turn to talk like most people do. When my food came, enormous and steaming and smelling incredible, I realized I'd barely eaten anything substantial in 3 days. I must have made some kind of face because Cassian laughed. "Told you it was a lot. Hey, do you want company? I'm eating alone, and you look like you could use a friend." Something in my chest loosened. Yeah, I'd like that." He moved to my table with his plate of carbonara and his own glass of wine. We talked through dinner about everything and nothing. He told me about a logo design that was driving him crazy. I told him about my boss who kept changing requirements at the last minute. He made me laugh with an impression of his overly dramatic landlord. The food was amazing, but the conversation was better. By the time we finished eating, I felt more human than I had in weeks. "Can I ask you something?" Cassian said as we were finishing the wine. His voice had shifted slightly, more serious, but still kind. "Sure." "When's the last time someone took care of you?" The question hit me like a physical thing. I opened my mouth to answer and realized I didn't have one. I sat there, this competent adult with a good job and a nice apartment, and I couldn't remember the last time anyone had taken care of me. The silence stretched between us. "I don't know," I finally said. "I'm usually the one doing the taking care of." Cassian nodded slowly like he'd expected that answer. "Can I tell you what I noticed tonight? You look exhausted. Your shirt has a coffee stain on the sleeve. You're wearing 2 different socks." I looked down, navy blue and black, close enough that I hadn't noticed in my pre-dawn getting ready routine. And, he continued gently, when I suggested you needed food, you looked so relieved that someone noticed, like you've been waiting for someone to see you. My throat felt tight. I took a sip of water, trying to compose myself. I didn't cry. I was the guy who had it together. Except, apparently, I didn't, and this stranger had seen through me in under an hour. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable, Cassian said quickly. I just recognize it because I used to be the same way. I burned out hard 2 years ago, ended up in the hospital with stress-induced everything, had to learn the hard way that taking care of yourself isn't the same as letting someone care about you. What changed? I asked. I started saying yes when people offered help, started admitting when I was drowning, started believing that needing people didn't make me weak. He paused, his fingers tracing the rim of his wine glass, and I started trying to notice when other people needed the same thing. We sat there in the candlelight, the restaurant starting to empty around us. I felt exposed in a way that should have been terrifying, but somehow wasn't, not with him. I don't really know how to let people take care of me, I admitted. That's okay, Cassian said. It's a skill like anything else. You can learn. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I want to check in on you. You don't have to do that. I know I don't have to. I want to. There's a difference. He handed me his phone with a new contact screen open. I typed in my number. My name is River, by the way. I realized I hadn't even told him that. He'd spent the whole dinner calling me you and hey, and I'd been so caught up in actually connecting with someone that I hadn't noticed. River, he repeated, like he was testing how it felt in his mouth. That fits you. We left the restaurant together. He lived in the opposite direction from me, but he walked me to my subway stop anyway. Before I headed down the stairs, he pulled me into a hug. It was brief but solid, and I realized how long it had been since someone had hugged me. Really hugged me, not just the quick bro-pat thing guys do. Get some sleep, River, he said. Real sleep, not just passing out from exhaustion. I'll try. And eat breakfast tomorrow. Actual breakfast. I laughed. Okay, Mom. Hey, you gave me permission when you admitted you needed this. He was smiling, but his eyes were serious. I'm going to text you tomorrow to make sure you're taking care of yourself. He did text me. The next morning, while I was getting ready for work, my phone buzzed. Morning, River. Did you eat breakfast? And I mean food, not just coffee. I looked at my travel mug, feeling called out. I opened my fridge, found some eggs, and actually made myself an omelet. I sent him a photo. Proud of you, he wrote back. How'd you sleep? Better than I have in weeks, I admitted. That became our routine. Every morning, Cassian would check in. At first, it felt weird, like I was being monitored. But gradually, I started to understand what he was doing. He wasn't controlling me or judging me. He was creating space for me to take care of myself by making it a shared activity. He'd send me photos of his breakfast. I'd send mine. He'd tell me about his morning. I'd tell him about mine. On days when I worked late, he'd text asking if I'd eaten dinner. When I said no, he'd order food to my apartment. The first time he did that, I called him immediately. Cassian, you can't just buy me dinner. Why not? You were going to skip it otherwise. I'm a freelancer, River. I can expense this as networking. We're not networking. Sure we are. I'm networking with your well-being. I could hear the smile in his voice. We started seeing each other more. Coffee on Saturday mornings, lunch during the week when my schedule allowed. He came over one Sunday and did laundry with me, turning the most mundane chore into something fun. He taught me how to fold fitted sheets properly, which felt like some kind of wizardry. We ordered pizza and watched bad movies, and I felt lighter than I had in years. I didn't let myself think too hard about what was happening between us. Cassian was affectionate with everyone, always hugging friends, touching arms during conversation, existing in people's space in a way that felt natural rather than invasive. I told myself this was just how he was, that the way my heart sped up when he texted me was just because I appreciated having a friend who cared, that the fact I thought about him constantly was normal for a new friendship. But then came the night everything shifted. It was mid-October, almost a month after we'd met. I'd gotten sick, really sick, with some flu that was going around the office. I'd tried to push through it for 2 days before my body staged a complete revolt. I called in sick on Wednesday morning, my voice barely working, my head pounding, every muscle aching. I texted Cassian that I wouldn't be able to meet for our usual coffee that weekend. Are you okay? He wrote back immediately. Just the flu. I'll be fine. Have you eaten today? I looked at my phone screen, the letters blurring slightly. Not yet. I'll order something. 20 minutes later, my buzzer rang. I dragged myself to the intercom. Hello? It's me. Let me up. Cassian, you don't need to. River, buzz me in. I buzzed him in, then panicked, looking at my apartment. It was a mess. I was a mess. I was wearing 3-day-old sweatpants and a t-shirt I'd sweat through. I probably smelled terrible. But I didn't have time to do anything about it before he was knocking on my door. I opened it. He took one look at me, and his expression shifted to something I couldn't quite read. Concern, mixed with determination, mixed with something softer. Okay, he said, stepping inside with 2 grocery bags. When's the last time you had medicine? This morning, maybe. What time is it? It's 2 p.m. Go sit down before you fall down. I shuffled to the couch while he unpacked the bags in my kitchen. He'd brought soup, crackers, ginger ale, cold medicine, tissues, and a box of popsicles. He heated up the soup, brought it to me with some crackers, and sat down next to me. Eat, he said gently. I'm not really hungry. I know, eat anyway. Your body needs fuel to fight this off. I ate the soup. It was good, homemade from somewhere, not canned. While I ate, Cassian tidied up my living room, collecting the used tissues and water glasses I'd accumulated. He didn't make a big deal of it, just quietly moved through the space, making it better. You really didn't have to come, I said when he sat back down. I know, but you're sick and alone, and I wanted to make sure you were okay. He felt my forehead with the back of his hand. You're burning up. Did you take your temperature? No. He found my thermometer in the bathroom, made me use it. 102.3. He got me more medicine, made me drink a full glass of water, and then did something that made my heart stop. He sat on the couch and patted his lap. Come here. What? Lay down. Put your head here. Cassian, I'm sick. I don't want to get you sick. I have an excellent immune system. Come on. I lay down, my head on his thigh, feeling self-conscious and vulnerable and cared for in a way that made my chest ache. He started running his fingers through my hair, gentle and rhythmic. It felt incredible. Is this okay? He asked softly. Yeah, I managed. It's really okay. We stayed like that for a long time. He played some gentle music from his phone. He kept stroking my hair. He'd occasionally feel my forehead to check if my fever was breaking. At some point, I must have fallen asleep because I woke up disoriented, still on the couch, but now with a blanket over me. Cassian was in my kitchen, the sound of dishes clinking softly. Hey, I called out, my voice rough. He appeared in the doorway. Hey, how are you feeling? Better. What time is it? About 6. You slept for almost 3 hours. I cleaned your kitchen. Hope that's okay. I sat up slowly. My apartment looked better than it had in weeks. You didn't have to do all this. River, can I ask you that question again? The one from the restaurant? I knew what he meant. When's the last time someone took care of me? Yeah. I still don't have an answer. He came and sat next to me on the couch. Can I tell you something? I've been thinking about this for weeks, about you, about us. He paused, and I could see him gathering courage. That first night at the restaurant, I saw you, and something just clicked. You looked so tired and so alone, and I just wanted to make it better. And then we started talking, and you were funny and smart and kind, and I kept finding excuses to see you more. My heart was pounding. Cassian, let me finish. I know we've been friends, good friends, but I need you to know that for me, it's been more than that. The way I want to take care of you, the way I think about you constantly, the way my whole day gets better when you text me. That's not just friendship, at least not for me. I stared at him, this beautiful, caring man who'd somehow seen past all my defenses and decided I was worth the effort. I thought you were like this with everyone. I'm affectionate with friends, yeah. But River, I don't do their laundry. I don't show up when they're sick. I don't lie awake at night thinking about them. That's just you. I don't know how to do this, I said quietly. I don't know how to be with someone. I'm not good at needing people. I know, that's okay. We can figure it out together. He reached out and took my hand. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to have it all figured out. I'm just asking if you want to try, if you want to let someone care about you, if you want to let me care about you. I thought about the past month, how much lighter I'd felt, how much easier everything had been with Cassian in my life, how for the first time in years I'd felt seen, not just noticed, but truly seen, all the broken and tired and struggling parts of me, and accepted anyway. I want that, I said. I want to try. I'm probably going to be bad at it. That's okay. I'm patient. He squeezed my hand. And River, you're already better at it than you think. You let me in today. You let me take care of you. That's huge. He stayed that night, sleeping on my couch, even though I offered him the bed. He made me soup for dinner and breakfast the next morning. He worked from my apartment so he could keep an eye on me. By Friday, I was feeling mostly human again, and by Saturday, we were back to our coffee date. Except now when he hugged me goodbye, it lasted longer. His hand lingered on my back. I leaned into him in a way I hadn't let myself before. That next week, he asked me on an actual date. Dinner and a movie. Nothing fancy, but intentional. We held hands in the theater. He kissed me goodnight at my door, soft and sweet and full of promise. Learning to be with Cassian was like learning a new language. He'd ask how I was feeling, and I'd have to actually check in with myself instead of just saying fine. He'd offer to help with something, and I'd have to resist the urge to say I could handle it alone. He'd want to talk about problems instead of just solving them and moving on. It was uncomfortable and awkward, and sometimes I wanted to retreat back into my old patterns of self-sufficiency. But he was patient. When I pulled away, he gave me space but didn't leave. When I defaulted to taking care of him instead of accepting care, he gently redirected. When I apologized for needing him, he reminded me that's what partners do. They need each other. That's the whole point. 6 months in, I had a really bad day at work, the kind where everything goes wrong and you question all your life choices. I came home exhausted and frustrated and found Cassian already in my apartment. I'd given him a key a month earlier, which had felt terrifying and right in equal measure. Bad day? He asked, looking up from his laptop at my kitchen table. The worst. I dropped my bag by the door. Okay, go change into comfortable clothes. I'm running you a bath. Cassian, I'm fine. I just need to... River. He stood up and walked over to me. What do you need to do? I opened my mouth to list all the things I should do. Laundry, dishes, prep for tomorrow's meeting. Instead, what came out was, I need to stop thinking for a while. Okay, so let me take care of that. Go change. I've got you. The bath was perfect, hot and scented with something lavender. He'd put candles around the bathroom and queued up a playlist of calming music. I soaked until my skin pruned and my muscles unknotted. When I came out in my robe, he'd ordered Thai food from my favorite place and set it up on the coffee table with cushions on the floor. We ate, and I told him about my day. He listened, asked questions, didn't try to fix everything. After dinner, we lay on the couch together, me tucked against his chest, his arms around me, and watched cooking shows until I fell asleep. I woke up in my bed the next morning with no memory of getting there. Cassian must have carried me. There was a note on my nightstand in his handwriting. Went home to get ready for my morning meeting. There's coffee ready in the kitchen and breakfast in the fridge. You're going to have a better day today. I believe in you. Love, C. Love. He'd signed it with love. We hadn't said that yet. I picked up my phone and texted him. Thank you for last night, for taking care of me, for seeing what I needed even when I couldn't. Always, he wrote back. That's what I'm here for. I love you, I typed, then stared at the words for a long moment before hitting send. The reply came immediately. I love you too. Have for a while now. Glad you're catching up. That made me laugh, alone in my bedroom, feeling more cared for than I ever had in my life. It's been 2 years now. Cassian moved in 6 months ago. We've gotten better at this, at being partners, at taking care of each other. I've learned to ask for help, to admit when I'm struggling, to let him see me at my worst and trust that he'll still be there. And he's learned to let me take care of him too, to not always be the strong one, to lean on me when he needs to. Last week, I had another one of those overwhelming days. I came home to find him cooking dinner, and instead of pretending I was fine, I walked up behind him and wrapped my arms around his waist and said, "I had a really hard day." He turned in my arms and kissed my forehead. "Tell me about it." And I did, because that's what we do now. We take care of each other. We show up. We ask the hard questions. We notice when the other one is drowning, and we throw them a lifeline. Sometimes I think about that night in the restaurant, how exhausted and alone I felt, how I'd convinced myself that being self-sufficient was the same as being strong, how Cassian had seen right through that and asked me a question nobody had asked before. When's the last time someone took care of you? The answer now is easy. This morning, yesterday, every day. Because I let someone in. Because I learned that needing people doesn't make you weak. Because I met someone who looked at me and said, "I want to try taking care of you," and I was brave enough to say yes.